Greetings, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, aka the Armchair Philosopher. I've been looking in the news sporadically. I've been seeing the whole argument with the raising of the debt ceiling, the whole who's going to run against Barack Obama in the 2012 elections. And I've come to this, or not even that I've come to it, but I've been saying this for a very long time. Number one, a politician is not a panacea. A politician cannot cure all of the ills of society and the troubles that come with being a society. Number two, at the end of the arguing, at the end of the debating, at the end of the sloganeering and the bandwagon and the campaign trails, a politician is still a politician. Let me say that one more time. A politician, whether right, left, center, north, south, blue, red, purple, green, white, peach, is still just that, a politician. Politicians will run their mudslinging campaigns. Politicians will still promise you the moon and the stars and the entire galaxy and the shooting stars and everything else. And at the end of the day, they are still politicians. Politicians still cut deals to push certain agendas forward. Politicians still are in the business of not only getting elected, but getting re-elected as well. The politician maneuvers and finagles and flim-flams to try to get to be able to sit on certain boards that may have certain financial gain as well as political gain and give him a certain amount of clout. So it is a career track. Politicians, whether it's your city councilman or the alderman of your ward or the mayor or the governor or the senators or the national senators and up to the president of the United States, the commander in chief, hail to the chief, all that good stuff. They are still politicians. They are still maneuvering. They're still sitting on committees. They cut deals. They're beholden to lobbyists and interest groups. Anyone who funds their campaign, they're going to do something for that person. Now, this may not necessarily be the full picture, but it is a factor in the life of politics. Politicians are just that, still politicians. Do not expect them to be your savior. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Constitutionalist, it doesn't matter. They are politicians. So, if you say, I'm not going to vote for this guy because of this or because of that, when I really started doing my research into elections and ballots that were going up for sale, or not for sale, excuse me, but that were going up to be voted on. Like I just found out that they're right here in Missouri, in the state of Missouri where I live, there was the universal Obama healthcare. They called it Obamacare. And anyway, there was a group that was voting that was telling people to vote against the Obama thing. So this was like a state measure that said a person was not forced to have to buy insurance if they didn't want to. And it passed here in Missouri. So this was like a state solidarity thing. Well, the bad thing about that bill or that thing on the ballot is the fact that you find out later that it was being backed by a certain interest group. And certain lobbyists and even certain congressmen or a certain politician sat on its board. So just like there was another bill in St. Louis to remove the city tax, and it was being backed by a man who was not even registered to vote in St. Louis. Um, but he spent $11 million on ad campaigns. Now, mind you, this man is wealthy upon wealthy upon wealthy, and this guy just dropped 11 mil just so he can make things favorable for him tax wise. So when you hear people, whether it's the Tea Party, whether it's the SEIU, no matter what side you're on, whether you're listening to Keith Olbermann or Rachel Maddow or Matthews or Michelle Malkin or Ann Coulter or Sean Hannity or Bill O'Reilly or Rush Limbaugh, those pundits are only trying to get you emotionally riled up and not really tell you the whole story. They tell you their part of the story, but they don't really tell you the whole story. They don't tell you that, for example, I found out that some politicians own stock in big major corporations, which is why they have the wealth to do what they want to do. Bush family, anyone? So that's my point, that the politicians are just politicians. They're still people. They wheel and deal just like you wheel and deal in whatever you do, i.e., if you're a salesman at a job, or if you flip burgers at Mickey D's, or if you work for AT&T, or if you scoop ice cream at Baskin Robbins. They too have interests and agendas. And just because they are in the position of the public servant doesn't mean they're always serving the public in the best way. They're merely serving the public who can buy the votes. Where there is no poor person's lobby, there is no lobbyist for the poor person. There is no lobbyist for the guy who's just flipping burgers at Mickey D's or stocking boxes at Walmart or sweeping floors. There's no representation for that person. There's reputation for the corporate guy because he's got the dollars that can buy the lawyers or buy the hand of the lobbyists that can go influence the politicians. And sometimes even the politicians have certain interests in the big interests and the big business and all of that. Well, that's really my 2 cents on the whole politician. Not a politician is merely a politician. He's not a savior. He's not a superhero. He's not the second coming of a messiah. A politician is merely just that, a politician. Well, thank you, YouTube. Take care and be well.